How's it going? This is your Supply Chain Pro here, and in today's video, we're going to be exploring the best techniques for negotiating your salary. There are 3 instances where you may want to negotiate a higher salary. The first is during the hiring process at a new company. The second will be if you take a new role with your current company. And the third is if you are staying in the same position, however, trying to convince the company to give you more money. What we have to begin with is to identify if our position's pay is even negotiable in the first place. Some companies have very strict policies and set rates of pay for certain positions. If you work in the same building as 100 other people that do the same thing as you, it is very likely that your employer will not pay different wages to those 100 different employees based on their negotiating skills alone. Most companies have a seniority or tenured working-based system where pay increases come along with years of service. Ask your supervisor or human resources if your position's pay is negotiable. The next step to negotiation is preparing yourself to have the conversation with your boss. There is a famous saying in the sports world by Wayne Gretzky that you'll miss 100% of the shots that you never take. If you seek to negotiate, the worst thing that your employer can say is no. On the upside, if your employer is willing to negotiate, it can make a huge positive impact on your take-home pay. There are a few different things that you can do ahead of the negotiation conversation to increase your chances of successfully negotiating with your company. The first and most significant thing you can do is to create leverage for yourself that will help your case at the negotiating table. You have to find a way to distinguish yourself in a way that convinces the employer that paying you more money to keep you happy and continuing to work for them is in their best interest. In our previous scenario of 100 employees that all do the same thing, you can't expect to negotiate better pay if you are one of the lowest performing employees out of the 100. Being the best performer helps you create leverage with the company in that if the company were to lose you, they would not be as financially profitable or they would struggle operationally. You can make an argument for the other aspects of your job performance, such as accuracy or culture or your leadership. However, the most effective negotiating topic will be your work history, that you are the best performer. The more objective data that you can bring to this conversation to support your side of the argument, the better. In the event that your building only has 2 or 3 employees that do your job, you are in a specialized role that has some background qualifications or a certain level of responsibilities. You may have an easier time negotiating in this situation because you are already in a competitive and specialized role that not anyone can just step right into. You will also want to continue to show that you perform the best when compared to your other small quantity of specialized peers. Another way that you can further create leverage is to have multiple options available to you. In the event that you are working at a job making $60,000 a year and you begin applying to other jobs, you have the ability to ask for a salary at a new job for $65,000 per year. In this scenario, you have nothing to lose because you already are able to cover your income and your life expenses with your current job. In the event that the new job says no to your $65,000 salary request, you are still covered. In the event that your new job says yes, now you have a great opportunity for leverage on your hands. You could leave your current job and take the $65,000 a year salary, or you could bring this information back to your current employer and notify them that you have a job offer for more than you make here per year, and you will accept it unless the company you currently work for is willing to increase your salary to $70,000 a year. Again, in this scenario, you have options, and you have already covered your current income, and you've covered more with that new job offer. You have a potential increase in your salary, and you are using that new increase as leverage with your current company with the hope to get paid more for doing the same job that you're doing today. Something important to consider when negotiating with a business is that employees working for a company create revenue for the business. Revenue is the money coming into the business, and employees also create expenses for the business through their wages and through employee benefits. If you only bring in $70,000 of revenue for the company each year, and you are demanding a $70,000 annual salary, it is not in the best interest of the company to give you this new negotiated salary. The main purpose of a business is its long-term financial sustainability, and in this scenario, it does not help achieve that. This scenario prioritizes the employee's pay over the company's success and is not recommended in the business world. You have to find a way to increase your productivity or your impact on the company's finances so that if you are bringing in, for example, $100,000 of revenue for the company each year, then you can more easily justify getting paid $70,000 salary as you have that conversation with your boss. It is more difficult to negotiate during the interview process because all that you have to present is your words, and you only have one opportunity to make an impression on the hiring manager of what you're capable of and how you can positively impact this company in a 20 to 30-minute interview. It is much easier to negotiate salary when you have a history of actions that your current employer can see. Nothing says more about someone and what they are capable of than their past actions. This next segment of the video, we will go through 3 real-life examples from my career and explore effective negotiating and ineffective negotiating based on these real-life scenarios. The names have been changed in the examples, however, the end results of these scenarios are real life and not just theory. These actually happened. Let's explore our first example, where an employee named Billy was not able to negotiate their rate of pay. One day, Billy walks into his operation manager's office and demands a pay increase. Billy has historically been the unquestioned best performer at the job when compared to every other employee at his level. Billy works in a position in which there are many other employees equal to him at his level in the building. Although he is the top performing employee at his level, the company policy is very strict on all employees in that role being paid the same. This company policy highlights fairness and equality for all employees. And Billy demands that since he is the top performing employee, he should get paid the most and threatens to leave this company because they do not appreciate him for what he does for them. This operations manager has little discretion in this scenario to just flat out increase Billy's pay because they asked for it. This is not a salary situation. This is an hourly employee, and the company has some pretty strict guidelines on what rates of pay this manager can offer for this position. While the manager may not have the authority to simply pay Billy more money, the manager's best course of action is to give Billy a pay increase through promotion to a higher level of responsibility at the building that comes with additional pay. An entry-level leadership position, for example. The operations manager must evaluate if Billy meets the qualifications for promotion and if he would do well in that new higher role. The specifics in this real-life example are that while Billy is the top-performing employee, he does not get along with any of his other coworkers. He focuses on his work to the point of obsession, and any required teamwork situations ends up with complaint from partnering coworkers that Billy is disrespectful and combative while they are working together. Billy also has a history of challenging his supervisor's authority in an unprofessional and unrealistic way. Billy's history of how he interacts poorly with others prevents him from being able to get promoted to a higher position in the operation manager's eyes. Had Billy have had a better work history of partnering with others, he could have been a strong candidate for promotion. But in this scenario, he was denied his pay increase that he demanded because the promotion was not clear and obvious, and Billy did not have enough leverage. In a second scenario, we have an employee named Mike. Mike was new to the company and had been in one entry-level leadership position for approximately 1 year. Mike has done well in his entry-level frontline leadership position and is in general good standing with the company. During that time that Mike had been working in this department as the frontline leader, the department's productivity had increased by 35% as a consequence of his leadership. The standard the day that Mike was hired was 100 cases per hour, and after a year, the consistent standard had been 135 cases per hour of performance. Mike is feeling stuck in this role and decides to apply for another position within the large company that pays the same, however, has less mental and physical demands on him. Mike applies for the vacancy in another department, aces his interview, and is on his path to getting more favorable position in the other department. Facility management looks at this scenario, looks at the history of Mike's department performance before he started working and after he started working, and realized that Mike is the 35% difference. Facility management reflects on this and determines that Mike has the future potential to develop into a high-quality leader, and facility management, no joke, offers Mike a promotion instead of letting him go via transfer to another department. In this scenario, Mike laid the groundwork, made himself essential to the success of his department, and showed that he was capable and deserving of a promotion. Mike used the leverage of another position previously discussed in the video to earn a promotion that came with an increase in pay. The third and final scenario has less to do with vacancies and more to do with social leverage and how you support the team. Becky is a department leader in a salary role. Becky is responsible for one small department that is the most successful department at the company despite being the smallest. Becky displays all of the necessary desired traits by the company in a department leader. The financials of her department also exceed the company's expectations due to her leadership. She is oftentimes sent to struggling departments to work with those department leaders to pass knowledge of what she does to be successful, with the hope that the struggling department leader will pick up on successful best practices that Becky is doing in her department. She faces some challenges sometimes training these other department leaders. The pride and the egos of these other leaders are getting in the way of their ability to correctly receive and implement the training and guidance that she is giving, simply because it's not their idea. After some time of this with different levels of successes and failures, Becky is talking with her manager about the training that she is doing and the time being spent away from her team. She understands that she is trying to help the company and spending the time away from her team is necessary in order to do that. However, she is facing resistance from other department leaders because they, having larger departments, also have higher titles, and she feels that her low, small department leader title is being brushed off and not being taken seriously by the other leaders. She reviews this scenario with her boss as she is giving honest feedback about her time away from her team and why the struggling departments are not showing the expected improvement despite her time invested in them. The egos of the other department managers are getting in the way and they are looking down on her for being a lower title while she's training them. A few months later, Becky's boss makes an announcement promoting Becky to the same level as the larger department managers, despite the traditional title of her smaller department being a lower level leader. It was because of Becky's success, willingness, good attitude, and her social leverage discussion with her boss that created the opportunity for a promotion. Now she does the same job she was doing before with a higher rate of pay, however, with additional authority behind her. If you have a great, terrible, or unique negotiating story, comment down below. If you found value in any of the information provided in this video, like and subscribe. This is your Supply Chain Pro, out.